Welcome to Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
Barry K.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
And I'm Brian Mix.
And we're Drive Time Radio. No, sorry.
I am highly caffeinated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not enough booze.
We got on this normal recording at our normal time, or a little later, 8:40, ready to do everything. And then
I just want to say, we always joke about how we don't prepare. We had an entire show prepared, and we scrapped
and
the whole
you're
thing.
not seeing it. You are not hearing it. So
So
we scrapped it.
today, as we record this, was day one of the prop store auction. What's today? It's June 29th, 2021, in case you're listening to this in the future. They had this massive 3-day auction that, while working, we all were keeping an eye on throughout the 8 hours.
Because they broadcast it live on the internet.
Yeah.
So we all had it running while we were doing things. And Daryl as well, but he wasn't able to join us tonight. But
he was actually watching it because he doesn't work for a living. So he was actually watching it. Anyway, so we decided, like, we get on, starting to record, and we're like, doing 10 minutes on the auction, and we're like, okay, let's just scrap it. Let's see who else can come on. Our pals Brian and Daryl. Daryl's couldn't, because we all were doing a lot of texting about the auction because there's some crazy shit going on.
It's rare that we've all been able to watch it in, or at least off and on throughout the day. And usually it's like I said, you guys are watching, or one of you's watching, and I'm trying to keep up on the text feed.
it was fun that we were kind of live. It was like we were live tweeting to each other the whole thing about what was up next and the prices things were getting. And
it was less stressful than last time, or 2 times ago, or whenever it was, when we're bidding on this, and Todd was like a half an hour behind us, and we're like,
well, again,
okay
the whole working thing, I think it might've been like the day before graduation or something like that.
And Todd was like, don't spend more than $400. We're like, oh, we're well past that now. You're a half hour behind.
And that's the thing. And as you'll hear as we talk about it, what we bought in the Star Trek, both Star Trek auctions, pales in comparison to the freaking prices that some of this stuff went for. It's just crazy.
It was crazy. And I think that's kind of what this is like. This is partially a auction day one therapy session, because like, I always spent a lot of time with my jaw just hanging down at certain things.
And for us, for sure, but for Brian, because none of us actually bid on anything today. We were just bystanders.
Yeah.
But Brian actually attempted to buy something. So this is like a real therapy session for him. I
had aspirations to buy something, but it just didn't. When you're like, okay, I'm ready to bid. I have my finger ready to. And then they're like, okay, starting bid, double what you even thought about bidding.
Yeah. The Forbidden Planet Blaster eludes me once again.
Oh, but it's yeah.
And I was hovering over that button. Should I push it? And I'm doing the math. And of course, this auction has a 25% fee to the buyer, and tax in California is 9.5%. So it's 34.5% above.
It's crazy.
Whatever I'm going to bid. So I'm doing the math on a calculator going, God, that's a lot. And then it ended. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, it was probably smart. When
with some of those items that sold, you would see the hammer price. And then I was trying to do the math in my head, like the Indiana Jones fedora, like $300,000. And then the buyer's premium, it was like $370 something.
If that guy's in California, it's another $100,000.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I was doing the math. I was like, oh, I probably could have gotten for another round or two and afforded it. And then I got home and told my wife how much I almost bid. She's like, are you out of your mind?
Hey, you could have had one of us bid on it for you.
That, of course, is a rhetorical
No,
question.
the thing is, had you won, you wouldn't have told her. So.
Oh yeah, hey, I got it. I paid a lot.
Not that you can't look it up, but.
No, when I won my Logan's Run follower, I didn't pay as much as I would have paid for the Forbidden Planet Blaster, but I just said I paid a lot for it. That's all I said.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to not know. Knowing it was a lot is enough. You don't need the exact numbers all the time.
It's not like we're selling any of the silver or the cars or anything.
No,
if you can still keep going, that's the thing. I mean,
not like you're canceling that trip, or it's
No, but when my wife's mental math is usually in terms of how many vacations something would be. So if it's less than a vacation,
That's funny.
that's one thing. But if it's more than a vacation,
You've had some expensive vacations. You
I know.
owe yourself
and when things get to be more than 2 vacations, then that's, there are limits.
Vacations are fleeting. A prop is forever. Who wants to go away?
It's funny. We've also had, over the years, we've had different like sliding scales of the relative cost of things. Very early today, you said that's less than half. We're looking at something else, and you said, that's less than a Hot Toys figure. I still compare everything in terms of a Hot Toys figure. It's like, that's 4 Hot Toys figures. Even though those have gone up a lot in that time. Is a Ford still $1,000? Is that what we consider?
A Ford was 1,500. Yeah.
No.
I think a Ford was $1,000. I don't think we've adjusted it for inflation.
No. Okay. My youngest son Joey, when he was much younger, he was just a Lego addict. And he wanted the most expensive Lego set he ever wanted, and we got for him was from the first Lego movie. The pirate ship was called a Sea Cow, and it was like $300. And for years, and I think to this day still, he measures things in terms of how many sea cows things cost.
Yeah, there's always that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, they had the Don Post monster masks, and those were like just all the. And they were $45 for the deluxe version. So everything was how many monster masks is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But. All right, we've totally missed doing random or anything else. I mean, we can go. Let's do a quick round of random, then we'll get back into the prop auction because there was a lot of crazy stuff. Brian, what do you got?
I've been to luckily enough, I've been to the Avengers campus a couple of times the last few weeks, and there's a Loki experience, which is basically an actor who looks just like him playing Loki. You walk up and you talk to him. He's a very funny guy. But the interesting thing was they've been paralleling the outfit he wears with the show. So the first time I saw him, he was in he had the collar on with the light, and he had a guard standing behind him. And then just last weekend, he had the variant jacket on and no guard.
That is so awesome.
No guard. He was just out talking.
Crazy that they're doing that in real time.
That's funny. Like how many people? I mean, there's you. How many? There are people who go every week, I guess.
Well,
right?
The cool thing with the premise of the show is they could get different actors and have like 5 stages of Loki. As long as they're just not in the same place at the same time, it actually works with the show too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Spoiler alert! It'll be interesting if they put a girl Loki out there. That's actually
no question. There's probably one somewhere.
I'll have to look for her.
Probably this weekend. They'll
I guess right.
Because it
came out last week.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Barry, what do you got?
All right, I know you said 1 each. I'm doing 2. One, this goes in that camp of like we've talked about it a million times. Don't get invested in some of these shows because they cancel them. The show Manifest got canceled after season 3 with 1 million unanswered questions. Now I stopped watching it like 3 episodes into the first season, so I chose very early on not getting invested.
I watched one episode, and that was the one that NBC thought they were never going to go forward with.
Yeah.
It
made it 3 seasons, but they canceled it and didn't know they were canceling it, so they didn't end it. And boom.
Oh God,
yeah.
That's
so
ridiculous.
That, and then the other one, real quick. Smallville actress Allison Mack
apologizes. I knew I saw that. I thought of you
ahead of her sentencing for being involved in that Nexium sex cult, which I got very interested in last year and watched all the documentaries on it. And the guy she was second in command, and the guy that was first in command got 120 years in prison. So we'll see what.
And when is her sentencing? Wasn't it? It's close, right?
It's tomorrow. Actually, as we record this, it's tomorrow. So
that's I guess if there's any time to have regrets, it's right before your sentence.
I was going to say, I think that's
your
the
buddy
point
was sentenced to 120 years.
If that's the bar that you set, that like right before they're going to put the hammer down, you expressed you're sorry. It's yeah.
And she is eligible for somewhere between 15 years to life. So that's an awfully long spread.
Oh,
she could do life in prison.
Wow.
Jesus. But she could her minimum is 15 years?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's sentencing guidelines. So there's not, right?
Well, right.
Yeah.
But someone could say you're cute in Smallville, I'll give you eight years.
Yeah, you know what?
8 is what I think.
So much evidence against her.
I'm to 8 years. I'm betting 8 years.
It'll be we'll talk about it next week then.
How are you like a semi-famous I mean, did they put you somewhere else? She's gonna get torn to pieces. No.
There's like a D-list prison somewhere.
She kind of deserves it.
I don't know anything about her. All I know is her from Smallville. So
yeah, she was. I mean,
shame
look,
on her.
I'm not trying to defame her. Based on what I've seen in the documentary, she's a pretty horrible person. So
Okay, there you go. I bet does Trump like her? Like he likes that Giselle Maxwell? She's a fine woman.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, they're going to get adjoining cells.
Exactly.
Maybe they will.
I wish her well. Todd, what do you got?
All the best to Allison.
Okay, so Apple is developing Isaac Asimov's Foundation, and it is there's a trailer that dropped today.
I read about it with its premiere date. I didn't realize there was a trailer.
It looks really good, and I will say my big concern about this is it's very high concept. It's pure Asimov, and I honestly watched this trailer, and I think I came out of this trailer with the way they put this together. I think an understanding, I think they're delivering this plot in a way that's understandable to people.
I came to this book very late, as in I read it last year because I heard this was coming.
Yep.
And so I'm reading this thinking this is going to be a movie, and it's two guys talking in a room. The whole movie, the whole book, whole first book is two guys talking in a room about what happened. I mean, I guess they're just going to go show what happened instead of talking. I don't know how on earth they're going to shoot that.
Yeah. And well, again, that first book just sets the stage for everything that follows. And again, watch the trailer. I like the trailer more than I like the book, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like it could be interesting. Again, it's a story with a ton of depth to it. If you read the whole series, I've read a lot of it, but not all of it. But I was like, wow, this is going to be a hard thing to adapt for TV. And I think a few changes in the plot, and I think a few, I would say simplifications. I think this thing is going to be workable, and it looks gorgeous. So, this is like about as hard sci-fi gets on episodic TV. So we'll see. But I'm very, very encouraged by this. And it's also Apple TV. I think they have done a good job with everything I've seen so far.
Yeah, they're a little more nichey and artsy, I think, than some other stuff.
I think there's some risk taking there.
At something like Raised by Wolves, and I know that was HBO, but that was pretty out there, and that worked.
It was, yeah. But this is like I said, it's 1,000 years in the future. It's a completely different kind of thing, and has to look that way, and it very much does. And it's also not. And looking at the trailer, it's not like. Anyways, check it out. It's definitely worth checking out, and I'm very optimistic based on what I saw. So
cool.
I'm ready for a new universe. So this will be good.
Good.
Cool. Want to check it out?
So Indiana Jones 5 is filming, and
or not filming.
Still filming. Harrison Ford injured himself during a fight rehearsal. Injured. We don't know the extent yet, do we? He hurt his shoulder.
They said they hurt his shoulder. I think they had to shut production down for a little while. So.
Originally they said they were going to shoot around him for a little while, and
maybe I read it wrong.
And didn't shut production down. So hopefully he's doing okay. Get better. Let someone else do the stunts.
I saw something online today. The headline was, how old is he? 78, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, like 78-year-old Harrison Ford gets injured filming the movie, and then they're like, maybe it's because he's 78 and he's playing Indiana Jones. That's why he got injured.
He got injured in The Force Awakens.
Well, that wasn't his fault. A door fell on his leg.
Well, again, he crashed a plane a couple of years before that.
That wasn't his fault. The plane crashed.
I'm just wondering, what is the cost for production insurance on this film? I mean,
oh yeah, can you imagine?
That's when I'm just saying, it's like,
yeah, but he's one of those guys.
How do you insure a 70-something-year-old guy doing an action movie anyway?
It's like, do they are they self-insuring or something? Because
I mean, he's probably in better shape than I am, so it's not like he's not fit. He's a lot older.
Yeah.
But there's things that go with that. again,
Yeah.
And there's no movie without him.
No, there's no movie without him. So.
And again, I hope nothing happens, but at some point during some time, does someone look to the other guy and say, what if he doesn't make it to this movie? What do we do? Do we have a contingency plan?
So,
I mean, someone said that.
Remember how we put Rachel in Blade Runner 2049? Okay, let's just have him sit in his hospital bed and film his face a lot.
But he does look pretty old in those.
He does
set pictures we saw.
He does.
Here's the thing, and I haven't been on the RPF. Get well, Harrison. I know you listen, so thank you. How come we, with all this talk of props and all this stuff, and we'll get to like this hat from the middle movie selling. If they said like who's making the hats, who's making the jackets, where's I thought we'd be really in deep in all that stuff.
That
Has anyone
stuff
read
never
anything?
comes out before in
not
right?
in these days. Everything is known down to the
but
second.
That's the thing is, I think we know everything because they've realized the way to minimize the leaks is to leak stuff. Okay, is to control the flow, to be putting stuff, to be releasing stuff, periodically as it goes, so that they're not, so that they're basically scooping the scoops.
But that's not
detail
stuff.
Things like that, though. I don't think there's a vendor out there who's going to say at this point they're supplying stuff to that film.
I thought last time,
but we'll afterwards.
They didn't they mention that Adventure Built was making the hats while they were filming Barry? Do you recall that or not?
They did, yeah, they did.
Interesting.
Was that during The Last Crusade?
No,
that was another movie.
Crystal Skull.
What is this Crystal Skull you're talking about?
This movie.
What is that? So, not saying that those two things are connected, but maybe they learned something. It's like,
I wonder if a Crystal Skull hat came up, how much that would go for.
It's funny. My son asked me that tonight when I was talking about the auction, and he's like, "I bet nobody would bid on anything from that movie." And I'm like,
That's
"I think
not
you'd
true
be surprised.
at all.
People would bid on it."
Wait, wasn't there something from that movie? There were a couple things from that movie.
There is, and honestly,
did that jacket go?
Star Wars prequel stuff goes out for a lot of money. So
Star Wars, first of all,
I don't think the
compare
prequels are
the
as hated
prequels
as
to
the
Crystal Skull. How can you?
I do not like the prequels. I do not put them on a level of Crystal Skull.
Every movie series has a worst film, and the worst film of the Star Wars series still makes a lot of money with the props.
Oh
Yeah, it's true. No, it's true.
The Last Jedi?
True.
They haven't sold anything from it. They burned it all.
But if they did, regardless of how much we all dislike it, if they sold stuff from that movie, it would sell for huge
people who like it.
Numbers. Yeah.
I'm curious. I'd like to see. So, all right, we'll get into this after we talk about our favorite sponsor,
merchandise from that
Fanboy Collectibles. Save your money. First of all, you can't afford anything in this auction. Save your money and buy something from Fanboy Collectibles. I wasn't to you, Brian. That was the listeners.
You could buy everything on the home page for what one of those items in that auction costs.
Probably, at least.
Them, yeah.
So there are new Hot Toy Mandalorian with Grogu, Mandalorian with Grogu Deluxe, and the speeder
and
bike.
The swoop
thing.
bike, yeah.
I love the Mando with the Pedro Pascal head and everything. That's awesome. So
it's a cool figure for sure.
It's a very cool figure, and its head sculpt looks great. So there's that. Kotobukaya Clone Wars dolls of Anakin and
you just had
the other guy Obi-Wan.
If you could have heard the pre-show gold where Todd squealed like a little girl.
That's not true.
He squealed like a little girl getting a new bracelet.
These are statues or figurines. They're not dolls. Okay.
Figurines.
Okay. I like that he's debating that piece, but not that he squealed like a little girl.
He did, and that's fine.
Again, I was very excited to see these. Okay. So
they're very cool.
Anakin and Obi-Wan from Clone Wars.
If
and
you
it comes
look
with
closely at these figures, which I'm going to talk about because Dave's disparaging them. If you look closely at these two figures and you scroll to you look at the individual descriptions, you scroll to the bottom. If you buy the two, you receive the components to assemble a third figure.
Oh, it's components. That's cool.
Yeah.
Which I the second I looked at these, I said, "Oh, these are awesome. I hope they make an Ahsoka figure." And in fact, with one figure, you get the upper torso Ahsoka, and the other figure, you get the legs and the base. So if you buy both of these figures together, as I am doing, you'll get 3 figures, which is very, very cool and squeal worthy.
Yes.
There you go.
You may now continue
check
with
those
the
out.
advertisement, sir.
If they're not all sold out. And, the normal. There's pops and Kotobukias and sideshows and statues, plenty of statues, all kinds of cool stuff. Check them out, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them Regular Joe sent you. Okay. Well, while we're back to the auction, so curious about, a Raiders hat sold. That's a drawer noise. They keep on. Prop stores think so much of me. They want me to consign my items, of which I have nothing.
If you only had that Stargate console still, Dave.
So the Indiana Jones, the Raiders hat sold a few years ago for $482,000. I don't know if that included the buyer premium or not.
Still, that's almost $500,000.
Today, the Temple of Doom hat, I think it was a Temple of Doom hat, right?
It was Temple of Doom, yeah.
Sold for $300,000. Add the buyer premium to that,
almost
$375.
It was $375 with the buyer's premium. Yeah.
So, that was by far the highest and above the estimate. I think the estimate was $150,000 to $200,000. But as we talked about 6 months ago, can I buy a hat for $20,000? No, you cannot. Can you even buy what would a Crystal Skull hat go for? There were every episode there were more.
Here's the thing. They're gonna market it as an Indiana Jones fedora, and they'll be in small print that it's from Crystal Skull, and it'll sell for $100,000.
I wouldn't be honestly. I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if a screen used one went for $100,000.
If I were the costumer for that movie, I would change his hat every scene.
Yeah, I know. That's the freaking thing.
I would have 30 of them.
That's the thing. These days, is somebody sitting there saying, just get an extra 10 hats. They just went and then just put. You get 5-year-old kids when they're ready for college. You can pay with one hat.
That's right.
Well, and I think that they're doing things now, you saw some of the things that were auctioned today were given to prominent people in the production. Like, they could very easily say, hey, for the top 10 most prominent people, like the set designer or the costumer or whatever, here's a fedora that Harrison wore for 5 seconds. And now you've got a screen used hat.
It becomes like the flag that flies at the Capitol or whatever, that they use a different one every single day, and that they can give it away and have significance.
They do that in a lot. I have one that flew in Iraq, and every day there's a new flag, and they give them to different people.
Like Arlington.
It's interesting. So we know all that stuff. Now we know Star Wars keeps everything or destroys it or catalogs it. So on the set of Indiana Jones, does anyone have the forethought to be like, wait a second, you got to barcode those hats. We got to know exactly where they are. Or could the assistant wardrobe person sneak in some hats? You got to
wonder if that has filtered onto sets yet.
I'm curious about that.
For so many years, they don't care. They don't know. They don't think about it.
I think they track everything now, but they would have to make a conscious decision to say, we're going to give these away as crew gifts or something for them to do. Because I think everything's tracked. I think everything's tracked. They've got people whose job is to keep track of all that stuff now.
I worked on the last Indiana Jones movie. What'd they get for a crew gift? A crystal skull. Oh, sorry.
So I've got a question for you. We all watch this from, casually to very closely, depending on which one of us we're talking about. Was there something you saw that you couldn't believe went for as much as it did? I'm not talking about the 2 or 3 big things. Like, Dave, as an example, when we were texting, they had like a prop hook from the Candyman movie.
That was crazy.
What did that went for?
$17,000.
Yeah, $17,000, and we're like, oh my god, I can't.
I mean, and one of you said, horror is very
very popular.
Ferocious fans. Is that a word? voracious fans.
Yeah, I that's not the word I used, but yeah, I mean, there are people that are just fanatics.
Freaking Candyman. You could hire Tony Todd, wasn't he the Candyman? For $17,000, he'll come and he'll wash your car for you.
Yeah,
and same thing with there was a Jason mask from like the final movie, which didn't turn out to be the final movie, that just went for an absolutely insane amount.
And it go for like $90,000.
Yeah. And
that was crazy.
And there are just a lot of those masks. Every time we see an auction, we see those masks.
I'll tell you the one that blew my mind, and mainly because there's so many replicas of it out there but the sports almanac from Back to the Future 2 went for $45,000.
That's crazy.
And it was signed by Christopher Lloyd.
Wow.
But $45,000. The auction estimate was $6,000 to $8,000.
Right. That I didn't get. And I feel like I feel like the signature devalues those. You get a $10 one and have them sign that.
Yeah, you don't get them to sign the real thing.
Yeah. But that Star Trek
that was after the fact,
or you think that was
like, you know, someone on the set who was planning on keeping it asked them to sign it?
You don't know.
I don't know, but you would have to assume that there were way more than one of those made for production, right? There probably was 10 of those or more, 20 of those. But
I mean, they show up all the time.
There have been. I mean, I've got an amazing replica of that I paid $20 for like 10 years ago, and I know it's not the same thing, but Jesus,
worth
like
$45,000. Yeah,
that was crazy to me. That was the one more than anything that I was like, oh my God.
I've often thought someone should make that book accurate. Just actually produce that book from 1950 to 2000, with all the correct stats in it,
all right scores in it,
to right to 2000.
Oh, that's funny.
So,
that would be
that when
good.
you have it, it's like correct.
The problem with the real almanacs that would encompass 50 years, they'd be 10,000 pages.
Yeah.
So,
but still, it like I said, I thought that in 2000 it would have been cool to release, or 2001 release that, and and have it actually be accurate.
What did that Pepsi bottle go for? I didn't miss that one.
I think it was 7,000.
It was 7,000.
And there's a ton of those. Those are always showing up.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I even said to you on the couple shows ago. I'm like, oh, that's something I would actually want for myself. But
$8,000.
Yeah, $8,000.
I was shocked that a replica lightsaber you could build yourself on the RPF went for $11,000.
Yeah,
you can build it yourself, but not. Yeah. I mean, it's harder to track down the authentic parts. But still, $11,000 is insane.
It's still doable.
Be done.
Yeah, okay? It can be done.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like those parts all exist.
There's fanboys right now going off and doing it when they saw.
Oh yeah, everybody's doing it
and
now.
That's the thing. Yeah. It's like this is, and it's not like it was a prototype. I mean, I could see something that was a prototype that was never used on screen. We know people that have things like that.
It would also be different if it was like John Dykstra put it together.
That's
based
what I'm
on
saying.
Parts that he had left over.
Or my next thing was going to say assembled by the person that built the original. That's good something.
It has no place in this auction. I don't get it. It's a little weird.
Also, again, there were a number of other replicas in here, and
they had Nike Back to the Future shoes.
Exactly.
They're not replicas even. Those are commercially available items. I mean, they sold out in a heartbeat when they were available, but what were they doing in this auction? They're not.
Yeah, I don't get any of that.
Well, they were rare size 7.5, and you never find those.
I guess that's true.
It's so hard.
It's not like they're like, oh my God, we need to fill up the auction. They have almost 1,400 lots. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So Dave, the genie bottle went for $60,000.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think they're like, well, update on the thing. We had attributed to episode 2 of season 1, but that's not possible.
Yeah,
and
it turns out that's not true.
It still went up.
But the genie historian, they get the world-renowned genie historian to validate that it is a real bottle.
That wasn't my buddy Mario Della Casa.
It wasn't Mario, I don't think. No. So here's
my
one that kind of
$10,000.
Here's one that baffled me a little bit. So they have a Raiders of the Lost Ark clapperboard.
Yeah.
But it says that the director on it is Frank Marshall. So this was like
second
or third unit stuff. And it went for $27,000.
It was 90. Mickey Moore, I think, was the second unit director, and Frank probably went in and I worked on movies, like assistant directors and producers would all right, we need like 6 shots. Can you just go take another crew and do it? They would do that kind of stuff. That's what makes it kind of cool, because Frank Marshall is probably more well known than the real second unit director.
Yeah.
So, but that thing,
I know, but it's not a Spielberg slate though. To still go for $27,000.
What would the Spielberg slate go for?
Yeah, 50? That's what I'm saying. It now 60. So
there was a slate in there for some movie, and it had the numbers and stuff written on it. That's all dry erase stuff. There's no way those numbers looked as pristine as they looked in those photos.
Unless somebody took it home that day and wrapped it up.
I got slates from 20 years ago in my camera kit upstairs that your numbers they're filthy. There's no way.
Right. I need to correct something that we said earlier, because I'm scanning through the final bids. We said that Jason mask sold for $90,000. It was $180,000. It wasn't 90.
Yeah, there were a couple of them.
Crazy.
Oh my God.
Insane.
And it's signed across the forehead by the guy that played him, which I think devalues the mask.
And it's from the 10th movie, right?
It's from a shitty movie too.
It's from the final ever Jason movie before they made more.
$180,000 for Jason mask.
That one, and then the Star Trek flute went for $190,000.
Yes.
Well, now
I got to say that surprises me. I think that put a number on that. You do. And we all know the significance from that one episode, right? Of that particular item to the Next Generation, to Picard, to everything. Put a real number. Put a number on that. You would have thought that would have gotten.
So I hate to say it, $10,000. Like
I would say $10,000, and then I'll change my number to, in this environment,
right?
$10,000 is like a 2 years ago number. $25,000.
I thought 65,000.
Here's what's weird, by the way.
In my wildest dreams, I know. I'm telling you, I thought, like, when I looked at that in the thing, I thought like $65,000. I never could imagine 190.
Wasn't that in the last auction and didn't sell?
I don't think so.
There's
a replica of it being sold now by one of the replica companies. And it's a $300 replica, but I looked at the picture and I compared it to the one that's, and it's not even the same color. Like, it's completely different than the one that was actually in the auction today, but they're selling it as a replica of it.
The screen matched box, I think, helped a lot.
Yeah.
And it's it's a one of, and it's my wife was saying she wasn't surprised. It's like the most iconic prop from that show.
And
you think?
And so
but I'd rather have a hand phaser. You know,
here's an episode.
Yeah, but there's 30 of those.
There's many more than 30. There's no other prop that was the focal point of a single episode, but then appeared in every subsequent episode because it went into his ready room and it stayed there. So it became a part of that mythos. And that was one of the great things with that episode, is it kind of changed things a little bit, in that from that point, they up until that point, they were standalone, they were serialized, whatever. The set dressers made sure that stayed in his ready room moving forward all the way through and provided continuity. It was, it's a pretty significant prop. Like I said, I thought 65,000. I never.
190 is crazy.
That's outrageous.
I'd rather have one of the Mauve chairs from the
but again,
office. No, I'm kidding.
I like I said, I think is in terms of, I don't think there's a more significant non-Starfleet prop item in that entire series.
Maybe.
But I don't think that doesn't make me feel still, but even knowing that, I can't even fathom $190,000 for that.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know what's weird is, like, you talk about multiples.
Think of it as a skinny lightsaber, Barry. That's all.
Yeah, I know.
When do you think you'd see more phasers and more communicators? How many communicators did they make across even just next gen? 500? I mean, it's crazy.
That is, I have thought about that. The phasers in particular, like we saw didn't they sell the Wesley, the silver one a couple of years ago? The communicator. But I'm saying, like, communicators, those pins just don't show up that often.
You know what's funny is I was on one of the Star Trek Facebook collecting group that I'm in. Somebody posted one 2 days ago that they claim was from the set.
I saw that.
and they wanted $1,500 for it, and it had Velcro on the back, and apparently they're saying that's how they put them on the uniforms. But so many people chimed in, and there was actually a guy who worked as a prop master and said, I cast dozens of those, and that doesn't look right. So it was interesting that they were kind of really calling into question the accuracy of it. But
interesting. Now,
they were
this
magnets, they're magnets later because there's a gag reel. There's a gag reel of like the number of times they fell off in DS9 and Voyager. That they got.
I bought this one now this is supposed to be a screen use one, and it's in a frame signed by Jonathan Frakes. Now I never really thought about it that much. This was sold at the CBS Paramount store. There used to be CBS Paramount stores, and maybe that's where a lot of them went. They sold.
Yeah.
I bought this in Chicago. I think they were in Chicago, LA, a couple other places.
I also think that there were hero ones that were used for close-ups, and then everybody walking around in the background had one.
The HMS had a garage sale, and they made the badges for the show, and there was a box of them. They just, it's just resin in a mold. So bang, bang, bang. They just made it.
And I bet they didn't.
Of them.
Yeah, I bet they didn't keep a lot of track of those.
No.
TV productions are very, very different. It's not like a movie thing. I bet as long as you've got one to stick on the outfit and it's pointing in the right direction, you shoot.
That's probably why you don't see very many of them, because it's so hard to say, yeah, this one was on the set. Unless,
and that was what these people
took it off his
calling
costume and handed it to you.
That was what these people were calling into question on the one that was on Facebook, was like, what kind of provenance do you have other than that you're claiming it's real? Like, anybody can claim it's real.
It is Velcro on the back, therefore it must be real.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I really wonder if I have the certificate when I bought this thing.
You saved everything, Dave. You must have.
I know.
Of course you do.
But like, it came from this store, and it looked very much, you can't see on this picture, very much looked hand painted. I never really paid that much attention to this. This could be actually a pretty good
Have you
thing.
ever opened it to see if it's Velcroed on or how it's
attached?
Got
the paper in the back.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The curiosity would kill me.
I'd be cutting.
Honestly, I've never.
I think
I've never paid a lot of attention to this thing.
Although you might not want to know. You probably didn't pay that much for it. You probably don't want to know.
I'm telling you, I paid $125 for it.
Yeah. You don't want to know.
But that, to me, if it's fake, it doesn't even matter.
No,
it's
because
signed by John.
His autograph is worth $50 at least.
It could also be the same supplier as the original ones. Again, yeah. It's Brian said, I bet you there was a bin of these things, and they went through and took the ones that were chipped and tossed them aside, and then stuck them in uniforms.
I gotta see if I have paperwork. This could be actually something really good, and I've never paid that much attention to it.
No.
The other thing that I noticed at this show, which is I think is a good sign for me, is that the older stuff did not accelerate as much as the newer stuff.
Yeah, it's because it's age of new money right now. A lot of like programmers and people like this that,
a sword from Flash Gordon did not meet its reserve at 3,000.
I was really close to bidding on that. Well,
I was surprised that
it was 3,000 was the minimum to sell it. Yeah,
I know.
Right.
But all those swords, all that stuff from Warcraft was going like crazy.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. It's now it's like the Joe collecting thing. 15 years ago, it was our time. Now it's the people. We have
a bunch of collectors who are into this stuff, who have some disposable money and aren't deep into kids yet.
I mean, even I know it's beneath the Planet of the Apes, but the gorilla costume only sold for $42.50. I mean,
that really surprised me.
That was not that. I mean,
I missed that one too.
You know what's really funny, because Dave said this earlier in the night before we started recording, and it's so true. Like, you spend the day listening to this stuff get sold for crazy money, and all of a sudden $5,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money anymore.
No, it does not.
When I say it's only $42.50, but
I know.
But even props from Blade Runner. I mean, a Blade Runner. What do you call it?
The parking meter.
Parking meter, $8,500.
Did it not sell or it sold?
No, it did sell for $8,500.
But 85. I mean, that's the thing. We really think that's not the thing for me. I don't think, or I certainly probably wouldn't have spent that. But there's not a lot of things out there from Blade Runner.
There's not a lot of Blade Runner stuff. I will say, looking at
that went cheap.
It looks as much like something out of Fifth Element as it does Blade Runner. I I don't think that passes the mom test, and I think it's.
Oh,
I think if you're
there's a lot of shit
that
that
much.
It's
but you would have to tell everybody what that was.
That's what I'm saying.
But if that went for $30,000, I wouldn't have thought twice of it.
Now, what did you, so the Star Trek First Contact phaser, $4,000? That doesn't seem like that much money.
Again, a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, but
what were those going for? Remember when they had the Star Trek auction like 5 or whenever years ago?
Feels like way more than that.
Did it? I don't know.
But also, all this highly focused collector group on that. So,
and it wasn't a hero, right? The hero stuff is although the friggin' Darth Vader helmet that was a touring helmet, so it never saw a movie camera, still went for $60,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that I didn't get.
Does that come down to like, it was made in the same forge kind of thing? It was like that's what people.
It was made in the same shop.
No, but I'm saying it's not the sword.
It's
not Alexander's sword. But it came from the same forge, and therefore it's
that doesn't make sense though. That's crazy. That's sort of this, and that's sort of the. I know I can never get the real thing, so I'll get this, even though. Oh my God, Darth Vader's helmet. Which movie?
I think there's a way to tell that story where you can make it worth $65,000.
No, you can get a really nice casting off of an original helmet on the RPF for $900.
Oh yeah, no, but what I'm saying, I think you can say this is an original Darth Vader helmet from Lucasfilm and not go any further than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And other than your, prop collector friends,
and that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying 99%
of the people that you show that off to are going to be like, ooh, and you may put it in an impressive note.
Okay, yeah, I got this one here for $300. Do you know the difference?
And you're not lying.
So let me tell you something, Dave. The ones that you and I have are in nicer condition than that one.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That one looked a little ragged.
Here's a great contrast. The script for Gone with the Wind went for $5,000. The Carrie's script for The Empire Strikes Back went for $50,000.
$50,000.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, her script belongs in the Hollywood Memorabilia Museum that they're building.
I hope that's where it's going. Yeah.
I hope that's where it's going
That'd be great.
I would love to see her because that's her personal script that she wrote in. I'd love to see her comments in there.
That's like even more than a prop. I mean, when you really dig into it.
Oh, so for the fanboys, even more than the lightsaber, that blue droid, which is a fan built droid, $80,000 for a background droid.
A background droid that was like, I mean, they had it like in the background during interviews, and there's a bunch. It was used a bunch of different places. They had some promotion stuff with it, but again, it's a background prop.
And not even built by the Lucasfilm, team.
No, it was.
Well, not to take away anything from the R2 builders, by the way, because they do amazing work. But
there is a 501st. There was a 501st set of armor from the Mandalorian.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just going to say next. Is that the world is changing now. I mean, you've got 501st guys selling their armor because it was screen used in Mando.
How much was that go for?
Oh, it was. It's been going for $15,000 is about what they've been going for. However, I've got it on very good authority that Disney's onto them. And now when you bring your armor to the set, you sign a contract that says, if I put my armor in auction, Disney has first right to buy it first before I sell it at auction. That is now the contract you sign when you go on the set.
Oh, that's funny.
So they're onto them for that.
Well, I will say when we saw Filoni talk about this at Celebration, one of the things that he said, they told all those guys when you leave here, you're going to own a screen used prop.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. He did say that to them.
He made a point. And so, honestly, I don't have a problem with their selling it, particularly in that a lot of these guys can replace it. And if they show up for one scene every 2 years and get a $15,000 paycheck out of that, that's not that bad.
I also have a feeling that when they shot season 1 of Mando, they didn't have any armor. They've probably built up their collection of armor now. They don't need
they wanted
the
that for the scene that
anymore.
They told us they just wanted silly amounts of real bodies and armor,
and they just didn't have. They're not going to take it out of the archives, and the ones that they did have, they didn't have enough. So I think they said they had 3 sets of armor, something like that.
Yeah. And again, I think doing what they did just in terms of like the PR benefit of that was brilliant. Because it was at a time when Star Wars fans were very, very divided. And here you had this dedicated core of nationwide fans who were saying, oh no, we're involved and this is the coolest thing you've ever seen. So, yeah, I think that was probably very smart, though everything they've done in that show has been smart. So,
yeah, that's the one of the few areas where they've made no mistakes.
So one of my favorite things that sold that I was really excited to see go for what it was were the heads of Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets. The estimate was $40,000 to $60,000, and it hung at like 47, and it looked like it was going for like 47, and then it just bing, 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 just crept right up to 90, 95.
And like I said in the text, that's what you get for talking about the prop you're going to bid on your prop
right. We
show.
clearly drove that up, and
and from the little bit that I do know about Henson, they don't let anything out of their archives, so they've got almost everything. So the fact that those heads are even out there, I think, is a rarity.
Well, the guys on the other prop show, the prop show where they actually have money to spend on these things, really talk those things up. One of them says, "I'm definitely going to bid on those and try to own them."
Oh, I missed that part. I didn't get to that part.
He definitely said he was going to bid on that, and they also said they were going to bid on the same Batman with the bullet hole one too, and they also went sky high.
Well, what he said on that one was, themselves. "I let it go the last time it was up for auction. I'm not going to miss it this time." So
why would you
I
say
wouldn't be
that
surprised if that was his. I think that went for $12,000
to people who listen who were going to bid on this stuff.
The Batman emblem, yeah.
Oh no, that was 22,000.
22,000.
22,500.
Right. So and they've said how many times on that show, all of our prop collecting friends listen to this show, and it's like, that's why we're not talking about what I'm bidding on tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah,
that's right.
Nor are we talking about what Dave's bidding on tomorrow for us.
I mentioned in the 2 shows ago what I'm bidding on tomorrow. So if you really want to know, go back and listen to 2 shows ago.
Don't listen.
Yeah. Again, it's interesting, and I find interesting the things that don't make the minimum, and then the other things that far exceed it. There was artwork today, which I just did not get. I mean, there was the Mos Eisley Cantina thing. I think it was Hildebrand. That's 8 by 11, and it went.
But it's Ralph McQuarrie. It's Ralph McQuarrie.
Oh, it was McQuarrie. I'm sorry, it wasn't Hildebrand. It was McQuarrie.
McQuarrie.
It is McQuarrie, but still, it's.
Right, but there are very few Ralph McQuarrie items that have escaped out of the Lucasfilm. They've got everything. So
yeah, but this isn't a production drawing or a pre-production.
No, I know, but even sketches.
This was made for a pop-up book.
They have all the sketches of everything he did.
Yeah, that blew me away how much money that went for.
It's interesting too because it's a 3-day auction, but they did the most expensive stuff on the first day, and then the second most expensive stuff's going tomorrow, and then the least expensive stuff, at least estimates, is going on Thursday.
I think that is so smart. I can tell you how many times I've been sitting on my money going, I can't bid on that because I'm waiting for this big thing coming up at the end.
Yep.
Oh, I had not thought of that.
Yeah, so that's
thought of that. I was thinking like they don't want to leave change in the table, but no, this is that's really smart.
You get all the big items out of the way, and those.
Yeah, I didn't get my Forbidden Planet blaster, so now I know I've got that money to go spend on.
And the other thing more than is the buzz the buzz that's generated in the first day. Draws people in the second day, and then so on. So,
but there's also this. I mean, they must know better than anybody. There's this. The longer things go on, and the hype gets up, they're going to make more money on the small stuff than they probably would have had they started with that stuff.
And we've all been deluded into thinking $5,500 is nothing.
$5,500,
yeah,
that's nothing. That's a Tom Cruise leather jacket. That's no money.
What a bargain! What a bargain!
Yeah, you're right, Dave. Todd, I'm looking at that Batman emblem with the buyer's premium was actually $28,125.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Which is, good for that guy Dave on the prop podcast who swore he was buying it. I'm sure that's him. But
yeah.
So we didn't
talk
about
the interesting thing, and I think we said this before the show, is immediately after that, costume bits from the same movie were sold, including an emblem without that blemish on it, without the screen, the intentional blemish on there. And that didn't draw the same money.
No,
it
was half the price. It was a full suit.
And it was components. It was probably
a cowl and a shoulder piece
shoulders and
a cape.
Capes and parts.
It's everything you need to make it a really awesome display.
Yeah.
Right. And yet it didn't, and which is why I suspect your guy may have been
he sabotaged himself.
Gone deep in that.
So we didn't talk about the screen matched Vasquez pulse rifle, which we were talking about it before we started recording, is not a hero prop heavy duty real gun. It's a foam weapon that's painted to look like the other ones. That went for, with the buyer's premium, $106,000.
Screen matched is now the matching numbers of cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Screen matched, it's worth double.
Yep. Yeah, even more so than a hero prop because those, I don't think those don't really exist. Even the guy who said he had one, they've been taken apart and pieced back together.
They stripped them down, repainted them darker colors, and used them again in Alien 3 and possibly even in Resurrection. So they're most of them. I think there are probably a handful of them that have survived in original form, but very few.
Yeah.
What did the Hero Biker Scout blaster go for? I can't find it on my list.
Oh, I didn't track that one.
See that one? Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I had seen that. Did it go for in the 40s?
I'll look it up. Hang on.
Because that guy Dave did say there was some small auction that he bought one for like $22,000.
Yep.
Here it is at $55,000.
Yeah, that's a bargain. The $22,000.
It's a Hero. Yeah, it's a Hero. That's why it went for that
55.
much.
So what is that with the buyer's premium? That's quite a bit. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, he got a bargain. That's the other thing we got to dig into, these smaller auctions. We seem to only know about the big ones.
Yeah.
There are small auctions that have some good things in them sometimes.
Yes, we must do some more research on these things. But, even obviously we're not buying 99% of this stuff, but it's just so much fun to watch. And it's fascinating to me how much money is being thrown around. It seems to be no end to where these things could go.
And the other thing too is this is also, and obviously is not why they're putting this on, but there's tremendous entertainment value to this thing. Just watching this thing and getting, saying, yes, I would love this, or yes, whatever, but seeing just watching this play out and know that people are bidding on this thing. And I found it really fascinating.
Well, and there's a lot of fun in it for me. I mean, when we did the Star Trek auction at the beginning of COVID, that was one of the most fun days I'd had in a really long time. Just me and Dave texting back and forth. Yeah. And then today, the 5 of us texting back and forth. I mean, that's made it way more fun than even just watching the live feed.
Did you hear that the guy said there's 300 people watching the feed? Yeah.
We thought that was not a lot.
Yeah.
We were saying that's how many were logged in.
I believe that's how many people were logged in at that moment, not how many people were watching.
Now, I'm bidder number 80. Right, because I signed up right away, but there were bidder number 7,000.
Which is why I'm saying I think there's a lot of people not logged in. Thousands of people not logged in, but I will also say that
give crazy numbers.
I can see people hovering is absolutely absurd.
Did you guys find one auctioneer enjoyable and one auctioneer irritating? Because I did
find either irritating.
So Brian, because I've already expressed this opinion pre-show. What did you think?
The first auctioneer I thought was good. He was fairly calm and gentle and bringing people on.
So that's the darker haired guy.
I didn't. The way I was listening to them. I did not see them.
So one guy was kind of thinner with darker hair, and the other guy was stockier with gray hair.
Yes, the stockier guy, I did see him. Yeah, I thought he was a bit grating and loud and demanding.
I gotta say, I preferred him because he was teasing these bidders. He was doing a really good, and again, this is as a non-bidder. Okay.
Oh, see, I hate that as a bidder.
He was, oh God, he was working people, and he was doing such. He was like, 712. You know, you're dropping out. You're gonna miss this.
See, I hate that because when you're the high bidder,
and that's
30 seconds till they drop the hammer.
And they're trying to, and I totally. But from the entertainment standpoint, I found that much more interesting. But I could definitely see from the other side of the fence why you would not like that.
Because I have lost items where I was the high bidder. It's like, that's my max. I'm not going any higher. He's like, come on. It's like, shut up and drop the hammer. Shut up and drop the hammer. It's like, come on. They bring somebody else in.
I can see there were several items today that were, were going, and then that on the wire, another bid came in.
Yeah.
And so there was some tension there.
Where do you see your bidder number? Was just trying to see what bidder number I was because I did register, but I don't know.
It was only if you logged on to bid did you get a bidder number, and then at the beginning you had to test your number.
Barry, just look up the Raiders hat because I bid on your behalf.
Oh, did you? Okay.
So whoever won that's your number.
If you look up when you're live on,
it's time to change your email password. By the way,
in the upper left hand corner.
Oh, okay. I'll see that tomorrow.
See your bidder number. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do as much of it monitoring it tomorrow as I was able to today, but I'm hoping to watch some of it anyway.
Yeah, it's likewise. Again, I watched a lot more than I expected. I just had it on while I was doing other things, and like I said, I found it fascinating. It was the first time I had a chance to do that, and really, really interesting.
So, Brian, is there anything we can do to help soothe the loss?
The loss.
Find out who bought it and we'll steal it.
There's a few items tomorrow, and there's a heritage auction coming up in a few more weeks too. It's got some things in it that I can go, oh, okay, I saved my money for that. So we shall see. I was, we talked about the 2010 jumpsuits, and I was noting today that they don't sell an item until it hits the bottom number.
Oh, totally. And I just realized by the time we put this up, the auction will be over. So you can't talk about what you want to buy.
Oh,
yeah, that's true.
Brian, though, you say that though, but there were very, very rare exceptions where they did. And I thought the bottom number was the ceiling on everything. And I saw a couple things sell for just under the bottom number.
Oh, so really?
Maybe no reserve items.
They may not have had reserves. There were
that's what I'm saying. There may be no reserve items that were mixed in there, but there were a few that I was like, so it's not going to sell. And then they said sold.
Because the bottom number on the 2010 jumpsuit's $1,500.
Yeah.
So that means with the premium, it's going to be $2,000 for a jumpsuit without the patches. It's like, wow, that's a lot for just a jumpsuit.
Versus the first item, which is from 2001, and the first item tomorrow, right? It's the cutlery.
It's the silverware. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Which is actually, I gotta say, that'd be a cool thing to display, because it is it's they're kind of like, you see them on screen. You could have a picture of Dave Bowman sitting there eating his breakfast and watching the video.
You could have utensils from one of the most boring movies ever made.
No, Bear, come on.
No, it's number 3 or on his list or something.
I actually told my son Joey, he just bought the 4K Blu-ray of it. I told him I have not watched it probably in 20 years. I will sit down and rewatch it.
You need to watch it. And I will tell you this,
change my opinion.
Spend a day watching the live camera feed, doesn't exist, inside the International Space Station. It's going to look a lot like a whole lot of that movie.
Yeah, but I wouldn't watch that
things in
for
space,
entertainment value.
Things in space don't move quickly. Okay.
Barry, the technology they shot in that movie. So when you watch it, realize that the whole opening sequence with the primitive man was shot 100% on a soundstage.
Yeah. Yep.
It was all this new front projection technique, and it's all on. There was not a single shot that shot outdoors, and it's amazing.
Everything in the film.
I just remember it going on too long. If that went on for 5 minutes, it would probably have been tolerable.
Well, again, I think, yeah.
Hey, pot's legal in New York now, so maybe I need to get really wasted and watch it. Who knows? Yeah. We need some gummy bears that are laced with something and for me to enjoy it.
That's for the ending for sure.
For the psychedelic portion.
Brian, where did you first see that movie? Where was the first place you saw that movie?
Oh wow.
Was it on TV?
No, it may have been at a science fiction convention.
Okay. So the first place I saw it on TV was on TV. I think ABC ran it like once every 3 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about that was I would always get my parents agree that I could stay up until it finished. And it always ran it always pushed the news back like 45 minutes because it was so long. And then they
tough to watch with commercials too. I watched it in a Kubrick class. It must have been on like 16 millimeter back in the day. It was.
I most recently just saw it on the big screen. They were showing the 65 millimeter print.
I have never seen it on a big
print.
screen.
Oh yeah. If you see stuff. They show it in 70 millimeter out here about 3 times a year. So you guys have to time it out.
So I told you guys I just when in college I ran the films for our film class, and so I would just go in, and whenever I wanted to watch a movie, there's this empty theater, and I would take the laser discs out, and I would go watch the movie myself. And it was like, so any movie that I want. So I said there's tons of movies that I never would have seen on a big screen, but for doing that. Yeah. And so it was also great to invite somebody on a date to see a movie, and then you would have the entire theater yourself. But I remember going to watch that, and the disc wasn't in the case, and just being like, and it was actually stuck in a dead player. So I never did get to watch 2001.
We've spent way too much time on this movie. Let's move on.
So day 2 tomorrow, but there's definitely things I want to bid on.
Yeah, by the time you all hear this a whole auction.
Yeah, I don't want to say what it is. I would be embarrassed.
Yeah, by the time you hear this, we may all be appreciably poorer.
We'll either own it or we won't. And we
also may bid on those apes masks. We got to figure out that. Those are not
Oh, we didn't talk about that yet.
And Brian is now in the risky place of auction rejection, where it's like,
it's a very bad place.
He's got this blaster-sized void in his heart.
That's right. I gotta
it needs to be filled.
Well, let me tell you the secret item tomorrow. Now that I realize I can say it because this will be going afterward. Right. Is there is a Ralph McQuarrie piece of art that was done for the Battlestar Galactica, the ride, but it looks like a scene from Star Wars. And I'm wondering,
there was a Battlestar ride.
Oh yeah, Universal Studios. There's a Cylon, a full size.
full-size
Cylon torso from the ride, which I'm also going to bid on tomorrow. But yeah, this piece of art, hopefully this piece of art will sneak by because it's Battlestar Galactica: The Ride, but it's still a Ralph McQuarrie painting.
Yeah. That colonial cape and gloves didn't sell, I don't think.
No, that went below the minimum.
I was
22. It was $2,250. I thought about bidding on it just to try to turn the cape into a jacket.
I actually think I was looking at it. I think the cape looks really cool. It's like I don't think I'd care about those gloves at all.
But what the cool thing with the glove had one of the patches
have the logo,
that you normally would have up on the shoulder.
You never saw those gloves.
I know, and I've studied those costumes a lot, and the foreground capes all had the trim along the edges.
Yes,
so that must have been like a background guy in the back.
Yeah,
gloves are from I don't know where.
These things, I mean, it's like, what was it? 30? What was it? How much did it not go for? $22.50 or something?
Yeah,
$22.50. Yeah.
I mean, like those things sold. They sold for like $400. I mean, the stuff is at a freaking premium. There's not a bargain to be had here.
Well, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow and the next day, or the bargain days. We'll see what they go for.
The field could be cleared.
There's always someone who's gonna bid on something wanted a Star Wars thing and now is gonna settle for Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah. The other thing that the guys on the other prop show talked up, which pissed me off, was the painting of the Cotopaxi by Ron Cobb from the special edition of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the ship that they find in the desert. I've got a special attachment to that ship because when we used to sneak onto the back lots, we found the Cotopaxi, the actual model of the ship, which was 30 feet long, sitting in the town hall of Dukes of Hazzard. That's where it was stored. We found the Cotopaxi, and so we pried I have a little life preserver that says Cotopaxi on it.
Oh my God, that's
from the actual model. And it's like, that'd be awesome to have that painting, but unfortunately,
you gotta frame that up. I mean, is that on display or is that just in storage?
It's hanging in my toolbox on my toolboard. Yeah, my pegboard.
Box.
Hanging on my pegboard. But yeah, the painting would be awesome to have with that. But it's a Ron Cobb painting, and the guys talked it up, so I'm guessing it's probably going to go for a lot more.
It didn't sell yet.
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Unrelated but interesting, just because of the type of stuff we're talking about. There's a Star Trek model group I'm in. Back in the 80s, I was in Canada at a Paramount theme park, and they had like a 17 or 18 foot model of the Enterprise refit on display. And it turns out they had a couple of these in different theme parks. So there's a guy that's got one of these things, and he's restoring it. And he had showed pictures of it. It's completely stripped down. He said he spent a lot of time getting it structurally sound so that he can restore it. And he's got it on like a rolling cart now, where the nacelles are like, held up, and he can roll it in and out to work on it. But he was, asking people if they had any, input or whatever. And I remembered I had a pretty decent picture that I had taken of it at that theme park back in the 80s. So I actually scanned it, because I don't have a negative. It was an actual photo. I scanned it and I put it on the thread, and the guy was like really appreciative. He's like, wow, that's a really good picture of it. Thanks. But it's crazy. It's like an 18-foot model of the Enterprise A
in Canada, no less. That's
but I think they had them in the US too. I think at one point Paramount had their own theme parks.
Oh yeah, there's one in San Jose. There's a Paramount theme park I went to. They had Klingon, a Klingon ice show. I kid you not.
I've got a picture of me with a Klingon warrior from that same park that same day.
Klingons on ice. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's glorious.
Yeah, but I took a picture and
it's a good day to skate.
That's nuts.
I'll text you guys the picture of it, but it was really big. I mean, it's gigantic.
Was the Forbidden Blaster, that was like your reasonable most wanted thing?
Yes. Yeah. It was the one big item. I kick myself for not doing at least a couple more clicks. But that's like my wife said. She's like, "That's a sports car you're buying there." Like, yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I spent too much time last weekend watching the Barrett's car auction out in Las Vegas. I don't know, and I'm not even a car guy, but I probably watched 3 hours of that. Barrett Jackson.
I watched that all the time.
They were doing the muscle cars, and it was the same kind of thing. I was just like,
cars.
That one went for $200,000. That one went for $300,000. I'm like, it's just mind-boggling how much money people are spending on stuff
that go for crazy money. I can't. But cars are through the roof now. Every collectible is just nuts.
Yeah.
The thing too,
it's a great time to be alive, people.
The thing with the cars is when you think about it's like, it's also got to do with our ages, because cars that were attainable to us 25 years ago are 25 years older and exponentially that much rarer. Okay. Yeah. So, when you look at the things that you say the price is absolutely crazy now, it is that much more exclusive because by virtue of the age, there are that many fewer of them. And the condition is that much more is more elusive.
It's true about everything, like you just said, because like guitars is a good example. 30 years ago, when I first started really playing, I could have, if I had a little bit of money, bought up like late 50s and early 60s Stratocasters and Les Pauls, probably in the $1,000 to $1,500 range. Those go for between $50,000 and $150,000 now.
And it's a perfect example. Same thing again. Like I said, there's muscle cars that when we were teenagers were attainable that are now, like I said, absolute ungodly amounts of money.
There's 70s Camaros that are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
But it's not only rarity. It's sort of the trend in fads. Like right now, 50s and 60s pickup trucks are the thing.
Yep.
5 years ago, you could have picked up those things for $5,000. These things are going for $50,000 now.
Try to buy a Mustang Fastback.
Yeah.
In a junkyard, they're $50,000.
Yeah,
right.
All ridiculous. That stuff. But
I just found out that my dad's friend, so this make that puts this person, I think he's in his late 70s. He's ordered a Shelby Mustang. He's waiting for his $90,000 car.
Yeah,
from the auction.
No, he's having Shelby US
one of those
building
repros.
One. Yeah, no, Shelby's building it for him.
Wow.
Huh. Yeah, there's crazy shit. You can buy DeLoreans now.
He wanted that when his wife was alive, and she would never let him get it. And when she unfortunately passed, he I guess one of his first things as part of his grieving process was to order the car
and do donuts on her grave because she didn't let him do it. But like 10 years ago, you could have picked up a DeLorean for like 12 grand. Now they're ridiculous, and you could buy the new ones from the old stock
new ones
for $100,000.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I think I've told you this before, but I have a guy. I live on a cul-de-sac. It's a guy lives across the street from me who I know casually and wave to. But when I first moved in here, one day he had his garage door open and he had a DeLorean in his garage, literally with an out-of-time license plate on it. And I'm like, why am I not friends with this guy? Like, he clearly is one of our people, but he's kind of an ass. So, like, over the years, we've never really connected. But I'm always thinking, like, I probably in another world could have been friends with this guy because he had a Back to the Future car literally across the street.
He may be more of a car guy than a movie guy. That's what maybe makes him a jerk.
I think he's a tech guy, so he's probably a bit of a nerd. But
yeah, I thought you.
They never come out of their house, so they're weird. Yes, Aaron, I'm talking about you.
Maybe he's time traveling.
Maybe he is. Going to say it's like in the living room, he's got a working reproduction of the 1960s time machine. So it's like,
hey, don't knock it. Some of us might have one of those soon.
Yeah, how is that coming?
It's coming slowly. The guy I'm depending on has got it all wired, and he's building one for another guy. So I'm going at his pace, which is fine because I literally have no place to put that thing.
I was just wondering where you were going to put this thing when you get it.
I had a spot picked out in the library, but that got vetoed.
The library. First of all, the library. It's not like it's a whole room. You would take up half your house with that thing.
Yeah. So that's like the new house basement. Got to have a basement. Must have a basement.
Well, you could store it in my basement here.
I was just going to say,
that would make a nice display in your theater, Dave.
There you go.
I would probably go across country and get it, and I would provide it with a room, and I would give you a place
and
to
its
stay
own Morlock.
and visit
it. And a Morlock.
David, you could put it between the Peloton and the other piece of
workout
equipment.
The Universal Gym is gone. That's on Craigslist, and it goes right there.
Yeah.
Because no one's using it. Anyway, okay. So lots of auction stuff. Let us know.
Well, this was good. This was therapeutic. I mean, I know that
it's making for a potentially painful next 2 days.
Yeah.
If there's like, I gotta have something, and then what's the last three items are from like, Speed 2, and you're who's in Speed 2? You're buying Jason Patrick's T-shirt for $4,000 because there's nothing left to buy.
I was laughing when I was watching like Garth's T-shirt and jeans from Wayne World 2 going.
I was speculating earlier that there are highly focused people that are like, I just need something from this, or I need everything from this. But are there people that will just buy anything to have something?
I definitely think so. In this day and age, someone's like, I need to. You see listings on the prop Facebook page. I want to start getting into anything. What can I get for $300? Like,
$300 in hand. Show me what you got. Posts like that.
There's you're not being specific. I'm looking at to see what's the last.
But we've seen in many of the hobbies that we have, like between Star Wars collecting, G.I. Joe collecting, we've seen a lot of people get in at certain points because it becomes very popular, and then like they're all gone a couple of years later. Like I think prop collecting and movie memorabilia collecting is such a hot thing right now that people without the means are just trying to get anything just so they can say they have.
I think
stuff.
So too. All I know is.
I also feel like there's a whole lot of people who did not spend money last year.
Oh yeah, that's totally.
And that's got to be skewing this auction massively.
Well, but like we've been saying, every form of collecting is up because of that.
Yep.
I will have lot 1362, the last one in this auction, the Zoolander time cover, no matter what it costs me. That's all I
know. You laugh, but I love that movie. It is. I'm not that I want to buy that prop, but I do love that movie.
Hey, I'd rather have Jennifer Lawrence's body appliances from her Mystique costume, which are basically blue blobs of rubber.
Yeah. With
an estimate starting at $2,500.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's the closest
No
you're ever going to be to
judgments.
touching her skin. So
No judgments.
I don't know. I think we have something that maybe get us closer. Don't you think? There is an animatronic Ben the Rat puppet from Willard, the remake.
Jeez.
Ooh, Barry.
Did not know there was a remake.
There's a Willow painting that's in the $400 to $600 range.
oh, is there?
Is there really?
That's almost one of the last desperate items.
Yeah, that's well. There's going to be a bunch of people that didn't buy anything going, I've got to have something.
That's where
what
Willow
it's gonna
goes.
be.
Willow belongs at the end. Yeah.
They should put something like really good at the end. Just Roger Rabbit stuff.
I couldn't believe how
Drums
much
from
that pistol
Whiplash.
went for.
That
From
pistol
Roger
blew me
Rabbit.
away. That the cartoonish pistol. Yeah.
Because
the
it wasn't
little
even.
figures were so cool.
It's a hand prop though that they animated over, so that gun
Right.
wasn't even in the movie.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I'm looking at the Willow painting now. Oh, it's the bridge. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need that.
There you go.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, if I save money on my prop, I'll buy you that.
It's already up to $450.
A bargain.
I'm gonna
How large is this? Oh, it's 12 by 11.
that's not so bad.
Who
Pretty big.
painted this? Paul Hudson Nockmar. Oh, it's a Nockmar bridge. It's by Paul Hudson. All right. Well, who knows? We'll see. Anything's
only-
possible.
Only 2 bidders so far. You got a shot.
Yeah.
That's what worries me when you're like, I'm gonna bid on this, and it's already bid past where you're gonna get to.
Yeah.
I haven't looked. Let me see what the thing I actually want to buy, the Lost statue. Let me see what that's up to.
There's a lot of Titanic stuff. Not that I want that.
There is a lot of Titanic stuff.
All right. So let's wrap this up.
So okay.
I thought you were looking at something up and reporting back.
No,
to
I
us.
am.
Yeah. So let us know. Did I say this already? What you're interested in, what you may have bid on. If anyone want anything, that we'd love to hear about it.
One of us has got to win something. Come on.
Yeah, we're getting some. We'll talk more about it once we stop recording. So next week we'll probably talk some TV shows, and we have a whole plan because we didn't do it this week.
That's right.
Although we
There's
got
only 2 bids on it so far. It's only up to $400.
Do it.
Okay.
The Virgin Mary
Oh,
statue.
the Virgin
Jump in on
Mary,
that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh.
Thank you, Brian, for jumping on incredibly last minute.
That was good therapy. I
Yeah,
feel better.
well, good.
No, I'm glad it helped.
Yeah, I wasn't the only one disappointed today.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We were disappointed for you, if that
The
helps.
guy who bid $185,000 on that flute is ready to kill himself.
Yeah, he's more disappointed than you are.
Or relieved. Jesus. Anyway.
Yeah, his wife is more relieved than you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.